Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are all fine. I am Shakti Kavita. I am your science teacher. I welcome you all to the science class. See, after a long vacation we are going to start our class. So now we are going to see about a topic where you have already come across, where you are already having some knowledge about that. And now I am going to give you some clues. With that clues you are going to find the topic. Are you all ready? Can we start? Yes. Now the first clue is, it is about an organism which utilizes carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. Students, I heard some of them have guessed. Some of them have guessed. Okay. So I am going to give you the second clue. Second clue is, it is about an organism which is built by basic unit cell. It is built by basic unit cell. It is a multicellular organism. Not only cell, it is all about a multicellular organism. Have you guessed? Okay, let me give the final clue. They can prepare their own food. They can prepare their own food. Have you guessed? Yes, students, you got the topic. Now we are going to see about plants. We are going to see about plants. It is in the chapter number 12, page number 168. If you are opening a textbook, you can see it's in page number 168, reproduction in plants. Okay, so now we are going to see about this in detail. You have already come across in your previous classes plants, adaptations, so many terrestrial plants, aquatic plants and all. You are already having some knowledge, is it not? So little more we are going to see in detail about plant reproduction. We are going to see now. Okay, see, in the universe, wherever we are seeing, we can see different types of plants. Some plants are small, some plants are medium size, some with colorful flowers, some with colorful leaves. So many different types of plants, is it not? So there is a need, students, there is a need to group or classify the plants. There is a need to group or classify the large plants, the entire universe. Okay, so what we are going to do, that we are going to see. Students, as I said, the chapter is about reproduction in plants. Okay, so basically plants are grouped together or classified under two categories, that is flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Flowering and non-flowering. See, as the word describes here, the plant which grow flowers comes under flowering plants, and which do not grow flowers comes under non-flowering plants. Okay. Second point is, here in flowering plants they are using seeds to reproduce. Seeds to reproduce. To produce a life cycle, a new plantlet, they are using here seeds. And here they are using here spores to reproduce. And they grow more plants like them. Spores and seeds. See, there is a difference in between seed and spore. Seed is multicellular. Spore is unicellular. Okay. So in non-flowering plants they are using spore to reproduce, to give you out the new plantlet. Okay. Next point is, they rely on or they depend on pollination for reproduction. Pollination mean to say transfer of pollen from anther to stigma. They are using here pollination method for reproduction. And here they rely on or they depends on dispersion for reproduction. Dispersion in sense, the spores are dispersed in large areas. They are spreaded over large areas, and that method they are depending for reproduction. To give you out the new plant, they are using here dispersion method. Clear? Now, as an example here, both monocotyledon and dicotyledons comes under flowering plants. Both monocot and dicot. Students, hope you remember, monocotyledon is nothing but an embryo with single cotyledon. Is it not? Dicotyledon, an embryo with two cotyledons. Is it not? So here, students, I have choose two examples. For monocotyledon, I have taken corn seed. For monocotyledon, I have taken corn seed, and for dicotyledon, I have given you kidney bean seed. Okay. See this picture, you can see here clearly. monocotyledon, dicotyledon. This is about corn seed and this is about kidney bean seed. Okay, so here as the name described, monocotyledon, here they are having only one cotyledon. The corn is usually in terms of shape, if you are describing corn seed, it is shield shape, okay, and in terms of kidney bean, the shape is kidney bean shape. And now since it has only one cotyledon, it is said to be as monocotyledon. It comes under monocotyledon. Here you can see two different cotyledons are there, this side and that side, both are cotyledons. Okay, so here it comes under dicotyledon. This kidney bean comes under dicotyledon. Okay, and in case of corn seed, you can see two different plant structure, coleoptile and coleorhiza. Coleoptile and coleorhiza. This is the plant structure which is helpful for producing shoot here, for shoot coleoptile and for producing root coleorhiza. Okay, so this is what about corn seed picture. And here in about kidney bean, you can see tegmen in sense the inner layer, okay, thickening layer is there, which is used here to protect the embryo. Tegmen is used here to protect the embryo. Okay, so this is an example for monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Both monocot and dicot comes under flowering plants. Now the second thing is about non-flowering plants. Some examples for non-flowering plants: fern, mosses, liverworts. All these comes under the non-flowering plants. Students, listen here. They lack true roots, true stem, true leaves, and all. Pine tree comes under this classification, non-flowering. It does not have true flowers. It does not have true root or stem leaves. It depends only on spores to reproduce. So basically plants are grouped together or classified as flowering and non-flowering. Is that clear to you all? Are you all following? Okay. Yes students, about reproduction we are going to see now. We saw at the end about flowering plants and non-flowering plants, is it not? So now as a continuation, we are going to see a little more information about plant reproduction. Okay, plant reproduction. What do you mean by reproduction? The proper definition is: reproduction is a process by which an individual produces young one of its own kind. Okay, so an individual is producing a young one of its own kind. That's what meant to be as reproduction. So to continue the life cycle, and for increasing the individual count, we are using this reproduction process. So plants, we are going to see about plant reproduction now. So based on plants, if you are taking a plant, see this is a freshly collected plant. Okay, if you are taking this plant parts, based on the parts, see you can see root, stem, leaves, is it not? Some flowers also. So here it is divided into two different parts: vegetative parts and reproductive parts. Vegetative and reproductive. Plant parts is divided into vegetative and reproductive. So first about vegetative parts, all these root, stem and leaves comes under vegetative parts. Root, stem and leaves comes under vegetative parts. So here these parts are all used here to grow the plants. It is utilized to grow the plants. It helps in the process of reproduction. Okay. Second thing is about reproductive part. Here the reproductive part, flower is considered to be as a reproductive organ. Okay, flower is considered to be a reproductive organ. You can see stamens, anther, everything in flowers. Those are basically reproductive organ. Stamen is a male reproductive organ and pistil is a female reproductive organ. Within that they are having style, stigma, ovary and stamen, filament, anther, everything is there. Is it not? So since they have all these parts, is meant to be as reproductive organ. Okay. So here vegetative and reproductive. This part is over. Next thing, in terms of reproduction, in the mode of reproduction, again it is classified into two ways: vegetative or asexual method. Vegetative or asexual method. That is, they does not depend on seeds here. Yes students, now about reproduction. Based on reproduction, plants reproduction, here it is divided into two different types. That is asexual or vegetative reproduction, other one is sexual reproduction. Asexual or vegetative reproduction, second one is sexual reproduction. So here they do not depend on seeds as on case of asexual method. Okay, so without seeds, here they reproduce, they are producing out the new individual. That is about asexual method. And about sexual method, here fusion of male and female gamete takes place and it ends with zygote, which is in unicellular. Zygote organism you are getting in sexual reproduction. So about this we are going to see in detail. Yes students, now about the first type of reproduction, asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. So here this method depends on without the involvement of seeds. Plant reproduces without the involvement of seeds. Okay, so it do not depend on seeds here. Okay. Second thing is, new individual is produced from single parent. So actually it is coming from single parent. So it has the same inherited character of the parent. As a result, the offspring, the next generation, the new plantlet produces is identical to the parent. It looks similar to the parent. It looks similar as such the single parent. So it has the same inherited character. It has the same inherited character as parent. Okay. So this asexual reproduction, they are having many methods. They are having many methods. So we are going to see each and everything in detail. So first thing is about spore formation. Spore formation, as I said, spore is unicellular, is it not? So depending on that, here new plantlet we are getting. Second method is fragmentation. They are splitting the filaments of cells into fragments or breaking, and their individual new plantlet is arising by splitting into fragments. That's what fragmentation method. Third method is budding. Budding to the original plant cells, some buds used to arise, it slowly develops and it gives you a new plantlet. Fourth method is vegetative reproduction. By means of all the parts, stem, roots, leaves, you are able to produce new plant again. That's what about vegetative reproduction. So we are going to see each and every method in detail. Is that clear to you all? Are you all following? Okay. Yes students, now as I said, we are going to see about each and every method in detail. Okay. So the first method about spore formation. Spore formation. Spore, as I said, it is tiny single cell. It is unicellular. Okay, single cell, asexual reproductive unit. Tiny single cell, asexual reproductive unit. Okay, so commonly it is observed in ferns and mosses. It is observed in ferns and mosses. So you can see actually in the leaf you can observe a round structures meant to be as soroid. Okay, round structure soroid, and in the leaf together it is said to be a sporophyll. The leaf together along with the soroid it is said to be a sporophyll. And in case of mosses you can see capsule. You can see the capsule where the spores are present inside the capsule. The spores are present inside the capsule. Okay, so what it has, it mainly has spores inside. So after a time period, it got mature, it burst, it was released. It is actually getting released in air. Okay, the spores are released in air. Then when it reaches a suitable substratum with a relevant moisture, air, warmth and temperature, it's getting the potent to develop into a new plantlet. Okay, a new plantlet, so that it's germinating an young plant. You're getting a young plant here. It's germinating an young plant and you're getting a new plant here. Can you all understand? Are you able to follow? Fine. So this is about spore formation. Second method is about fragmentation. Second method is about fragmentation. So as the word describes, it's nothing but process of splitting or state of breaking. Process of splitting or state of breaking what? State of breaking cells. Okay, so what is going on here? See, commonly it is observed in Spirogyra. Commonly it is observed in Spirogyra, which is a green algae, which is usually observed in pond scum. Okay, pond scum is a green algae. So what it happens, it develops a filament like structure. It develops a filament like structure. Entirely it is spreaded over the pond. Okay, it's a filament like structure. So what is going on? Apart from Spirogyra, bacteria, fungi, mold, lichens, everywhere you can see the same type of the fragmentation splitting over done. Okay, so here what is going on? This walls, the cell wall is growing inward. Slightly it is growing inward, both the cells. Okay, this is a filamentous structure of the cell, and the cell wall is growing inwards. At a certain period, it got ruptured. It is enlarging. The ingrowth is getting still more enlarged again, the second step, and after that, after a time period, it breaks and it separates. It got ruptured. Then it separates and it moves separately. Then each and every fragment is getting the potent to grow into a new young plant. New young plant. Fragment grows into new filament that is observed in Spirogyra. Is it clear? So this is about fragmentation. This is about fragmentation. Okay, now the next method is about budding. Budding. Okay, so what is this? Multiplying with the help of buds. So initially you can observe a parent cell. Initially you can observe a parent cell here. To the parent cell, small buds arise from the parent cell. Small buds arise from the parent cell. Then it grows similar to parent. These buds is growing similarly as like the parent cell. It's growing somewhat. Then after it reaches a certain growth, it gets detached. It gets detached from the parent cell. After once it is released out, then it's gaining the potent to develop into a new individual. So this is how we are getting new plantlet using budding method. And it's commonly observed in East. It's commonly observed in East. Is that clear to you all? Can you all follow? Okay. Yes, students. Now we are going to see about the fourth method, vegetative reproduction. Asexual vegetative reproduction by means of vegetative parts. Okay. So those are root, stem and leaves. Root, stem and leaves. So we are going to see each and everything in detail. Okay. So first about roots. See, basically what is going on here, the roots or stem, it's modified slightly. The structure as such, the root structure or the stem structure is modified in such a way so that it can store more food. Okay, physically the plant structure is getting changed here. Okay, so it is slightly modified and it is utilized. So how about that we are going to see in detail how it's going on. So root, it's basically swollen here. In case of vegetative part reproduction, it is swollen. The roots are getting swollen and it is utilized for storage of food. See, for an example, you can see in carrot, radish, turnip, beetroot, is it not? So only those things comes under roots, is it not? Asparagus, dahlia, carrot, radish, sweet potato, turnip, everything comes under root modification. So what is going on here? If you are taking carrot, you will be getting new buds. In the underground root it used to come and you will be getting a new buds. Here new shoots used to arise in the carrot, and then if you are planting that particular part alone, if you are just cut the particular part alone and you are just planting again, you will be getting new plants. So here the roots are having the potent to develop a new plant. Clear? It's modified in such a way so that it can store food. The foods are nothing but carrot, radish, sweet potato and all. Clear? Okay. Now about the second part, stem. So how about stem? Stem also the same thing. Similarly, the stem structure is modified in such a way that can store food. The stem structure is modified in such a way they can store food. Okay, so here I have given 3 states of example. First one, about potato we are going to see. In potato, if you are seeing potato tubers, you can see in the stem part, you can see potato tubers. Those tubers will be having buds. Those tubers will be having buds. So the one along the tuber part along with the bud, if you are just slicing out that particular part, and if you are planting inside the soil, again you will be getting a new plant. Again you will be getting a new potato plant. Okay, so here the stem is also utilized to produce new plantlet. Second example, onion. Second example for modified stem, onion. It is actually a modified shoot only, modified shoot. If you are seeing onion, you can see a thick succulent leaves and bulb. The onion seems to be as a bulb down, okay, and the leaves will be thick succulent leaves. Okay, you will be getting the new bulbs with the help of the buds. See, in the bulb you will be getting some buds, and with that buds, if you are again replanting inside the soil, you will be getting new plants. So this is about onion. The third example is rhizome. Rhizome is basically an underground stem, is it not? Say for an example, ginger, turmeric. Stem is modified in such a way so that it is storing ginger and turmeric here. Okay, so here it has scaly leaves, buds arise. From the buds you will be getting this rhizome. It's basically an underground stem. Okay, now apart from that, some more example, wild strawberries, then grasses. Here also same thing happens, that is shoot is, from the shoot you are getting buds, from the buds you are getting new plants. From the shoots, buds, and then new plants. So here stem is modified in such a way they are storing the food, and they are utilized here to produce new plantlet, new individual. Okay, so this is what about stem. Next thing is about leaves. You are going to see about leaves. Students, usually leaves will not be useful for reproduction of plants, but in very few cases, rarely it may help. Okay, so here as an exception, as an example, here we have taken Bryophyllum. Okay, so you are having a leaves. If you are seeing the leaves, at the leaf margin, end of the leaf margin, you can see here notches. Okay, so it is observed in the leaf margin both the sides. What it will do, it will again fall down in the soil, and it will again rise to or grow into a new plant. This is very rare. By leaves, if you are producing plant, that is rare case, but it is observed in very few. One of the thing is Bryophyllum. Okay, so usually it happens in stem and root. Leaves is also possible, but very few. Okay, so this is about vegetative part, reproduction. Yes students, now we are going to see about artificial vegetative reproduction. Now, what is this? Plants are propagated by artificial methods. They are developed as a new one through artificial methods. Usually farmers, gardeners are using this technique to grow a variety of plants. They are applying the same technique for developing variety of plants. Growing plants through artificial methods is said to be as artificial propagation. Then to grow plants, so why we are using this technique? Particularly we are using this to grow plants with desirable character. If you want to grow the plant, you are using these techniques which comes under artificial reproduction. So what are the different methods? First one is cutting, grafting, layering. Second grafting, third one is layering. Okay, so we are going to see each and everything in detail now. So cutting, if you are taking this, you can have any part of the plant here. Okay, it might be root, it might be stem, it might be leaf, or anything you can use here, so that from that you can develop. Okay, so see, if you are taking a plant, this is a fresh plant, and the part where the leaf grows, this is meant to be as node. Where the leaf grows, that is meant to be as node. And the space in between two nodes is meant to be as internode. The space in between two nodes is said to be as internode. Clear? Nodes and internodes is observed in plants. So here in cutting, a piece of shoot or root or leaf is used here, and from that we are developing a new plantlet. It's applicable in so many plants. For example, rose, sugarcane, we are applying. What we are doing? We are taking a stem in sense as it has both nodes and internodes. It should have both nodes and internodes. In such a way we are choosing a stem. Okay. So then we are taking a stem, we are taking the particular part alone, we are cutting that and plant it in the soil. We are taking the particular stem and planting in the soil, and you are able to get a new plant here. You are getting a new plant here. Okay, so if you are using cuttings to develop a new plant, that method is said to be as cutting. Okay, the cutting might be stem, root, leaf or anything. Usually stem and root. Okay. Second method is grafting. Second method is grafting. So what is this? Here, two parts of the plant are joined to grow here. Two parts of the plant. Okay. See, either the part might come from the same plant, or else it might also come from different plant, so that you are getting a hybrid variety. Okay. So here two parts of the plant are joined to grow a new plantlet. Or joined to grow a new plantlet. Can you all follow? Are you all able to follow? Yes. Now, so the first part is said to be a stalk. The first part we are calling it a stalk, where it has well developed sturdy root, tough root, well developed sturdy root. Okay, so that is meant to be here a stalk. So we are taking the stalk from one plant, and we can also choose from different plant the second part, or also from the same plant also, that doesn't matter. So other part, second part, we are naming it as scion, S-C-I-O-N, scion. Okay, so the first one is stalk and the second one is scion. So here what we are doing, we are taking two different parts, and then we are arranging in such a way, it's placed in such a way the vascular tissues are joined together. It's placed in such a way that vascular tissues are joined together. Then after, once it has kept nearby, automatically it will start to develop a single plant which has both the characters, the stalk character and the scion character. Tough root or sturdy root sturdiness or of stalk, and desirable qualities of the scion. Mean to say both the qualities of the two different parts will be there in this second method, grafting. Second method, grafting. Clear to all? Any doubts? Clear? Okay, then let me proceed. Next thing is about layering. Next method is layering. This is a simple method. What is going on? If you observe a plant here, automatically the branch, if you are getting a lengthy branch, the lengthy branch part alone, what we'll do, we'll just bend towards the soil. Okay, the part alone, that part alone, the branch part alone, what we'll be doing, we'll be just bending the branch inside the soil. Okay, so branch bend down inside the ground. Okay, then what it will do, we should cover with soil. Of course we should cover with soil, and then roots start growing from the covered part. Roots start growing from the covered part. So it is the same plant, the branch alone is getting bent downwards. So again you can see a new plant developing from the branch also, if you are covering with soil. See how the nature is it not? So roots start growing from the new branch what you are covered inside the soil. Clear? Now from that you will be getting a separated from the original. Again a new plantlet start arise, a new plant is getting arise. So from the original plant there is a way to produce new plant also. That method is layering. So for an example, it is commonly, this method is applicable in jasmine and croton. Jasmine usually we used to do this layering method. Clear? Is that clear to all? Fine, okay. Now students, we are going to see about the advantages by using all these artificial vegetative reproduction methods. Advantages. Okay. So the first point is they do not produce seeds. So here we are using the particular plantlet, the particular part to produce a new leaflet. So we are not using here seeds to produce a new plant. Okay, then here when you are comparing with the method of the actual true method to develop a new plant, with that method, this artificial methods, all these three methods are faster. All these methods are faster. If you are comparing by two methods, first method with the seeds you used to grow normally a complete plantlet. No, if you are comparing with that method, this method you will be getting results fastly. It will able to grow fast. It will give you the fruits fast, everything is done in a faster way. It's done in a faster way. Third thing is, you will be getting the same type of the plant, exact same thing as if we are using the seeds. No, like that, however you are getting, same thing is observed here by using this artificial method also. Using this artificial method. Then, so that since it is same and similar, it is very helpful for farmers. It is very helpful for farmers. So, these are the advantages of artificial vegetative propagation. Clear? Okay. Yes, students. Now we are going to see about a new method, an interesting method, plant tissue culture. Plant tissue culture. What is this? See, if you are taking the entire body of the plant, any cell, root, stem, leaf, any plant cell, any particular part is having the potential to grow into a new plant. Is having the potential to grow into a new plant. Is it not? This is concept. Now what we are doing, we are taking this concept and we are developing a particular technology said to be as plant tissue culture. We are taking that part, we are using sterile conditions, we are developing a new plantlet here. New plantlet. So how we are going to do? It's an interesting topic, plant tissue culture. Okay, so now we will see about that. Many cells have the ability to divide and differentiate into entire new plant. So usually if you are taking a plant, the meristematic part, the young, the growing tip part, no, that particular part has more potential to grow new cells. The tip position has more potential to grow new cells. So while you are doing this, we used to collect young leaves which is at the growing tip. So we will be collecting that part and we will be doing this experiment, plant tissue culture. So many cells have the ability to divide and differentiate into the entire new plant. Almost all the cell is having, but still it will be more. The potential will be more in the young tissue, the growing tip part. Okay. Then this property of plant cell is used in growing new plants under sterile or germ-free conditions. So we are applying this concept here. We are using this technology. We are developing the plant cell in a nutrient broth medium under sterile conditions. Okay. So here this property of plant cell is used in growing new plants under sterile or germ-free conditions. Next thing is about many cells have the ability to regenerate into a whole plant. If the right amount of nutrients and plant hormones are provided to them. So how it is growing? If you are just isolating that particular part alone, growing tip part alone, okay. If you are taking that particular part alone, it is actually a group of cells. It seems to be as a tissue. Then we will be isolating that cell part alone, and then we are taking that particular part and we are keeping in a sterile condition, okay, with right amounts of nutrients provided to them. Okay, nutrient broth medium will be separating as like a food for to us. For them as a food, we are providing nutrient broth medium. Okay, so we are providing food. We are developing in a sterile condition in the test tubes, in the glass beakers. So it is grown under sterile condition inside the lab, not as usual in the soil. This is what tissue culture. See, many cells have the ability to regenerate into a whole plant. Any particular part of the plant is used here to regenerate again the entire plant. If the right amount of the nutrients provided, it should be provided with nutrients, right amount of nutrients of plants. hormones also, plant hormones are also, auxin, gibberellin, some more hormones are also there. We used to provide, only then the success rate will be more. Okay, plant hormones are also provided to them so that you are getting an entire new plantlet. It's completely done in lab. It's completely done in lab. Okay, so how actually they are doing? They will be collecting the young plant leaves, which is in the tip, the meristematic part. No, those leaves are collected, and those leaves, it's nothing but a collection of cells. It's a group of cells said to be as tissues. Is it not? Tissues. So we used to separate cells from these tissues by means of some centrifugation methods are there. At a suitable RPM, if it is running, automatically that plant solution will get will fragmented and will be getting the respective cell part alone. Okay, then those cells, the solutions, we used to keep it in a nutrient broth medium as like a food to us. Here for plants we are providing this medium as a food. Okay, food in sense that medium has inorganic salt, sugar, vitamins, hormones, everything will be provided in that medium, and that medium at a precise quantity we are providing to these plants. Okay, so why we are providing? It is required for growth and differentiation of cells. To develop, to grow, it needs food, is it not? So we are providing through medium. Then what happens? You are getting a new plantlet. Inside the test tube you can see beautiful plantlets. Inside the test tubes you can see plantlets. Allowed to grow in small plantlets. Then slowly, it should be done in a much sterile way. Okay, slowly we are transferring these plantlets after some days, not even days, months, 2 or 3 months only. After it has grown to some extent, we are just transferring those plantlet into parts. Okay, transfer to pots with soil. So this is commonly observed in so many types of plants is applicable in this tissue culture method. They have given example asparagus, chrysanthemum and orchids. Okay, so these plants we are using here. Using tissue culture method, we can regenerate the entire plant. Okay, it's an interesting method. So this is what about this plant tissue culture. Clear? Okay. Yes, students. Now again we are going to see about an interesting topic. Sexual reproduction in plants. We are going to see with the flower. Okay. So here flower is a reproductive organ. Flower is basically reproductive organ. Why? Because it has both stamen and pistil. Stamen, it has both anther and filament. And pistil, it has stigma, style and ovary. Now we are going to see each and everything part by part. Okay, so here if you are taking a flower, it has 4 holes. Okay, so the outermost one, the green colored part, can you see this green colored part here? That we are calling it as sepals. Okay, the next part is petals. Petals usually will be colorful. This is petal and the green colored one is sepals. Clear? Okay. Now third part is stamen. Stamen is, can you see this? Small filaments and then anthers. It seems to be like this. The structure of anther will be like this. Male sex organ will be like this. This is anther, yellow colored one, and this is filament. Okay, so all together we call it as stamen. We will be calling it as stamen. So if you are observing here, small filament structure, okay, with anthers, the yellow colored anthers, it is bilobed. Two lobes will be there. Okay, and they are having within the 2 lobes pollen grains. Within them, and it is double layered. It is tough and resistant also. Since it has the pollen grains within them. Now the fourth part, third is stamen. It's over. Stamen is a combination of anther and filament. Anther is the yellow colored part and the red color down part is filament. Clear? Now the fourth part is pistil. The fourth part is pistil. It is the female reproductive organ. It has, mean to say, can you see this structure above to that? Above to that, can you see this? Huh? Yes, this is nothing but stigma. The one with red colored like this, it seems to be like this only. It is stigma. Okay, the filamentous structure. The filamentous structure is said to be a style. Stigma, style, and here, if you are by having this in this part, you will be having ovary. You will be having ovary, and within that you can see ovule also. Ovule. See this female reproductive organ, altogether it is said to be as pistil. Pistil. This part is meant to be a stigma. Here as such, this part is meant to be here as stigma, and this filamentous structure is meant to be a style. This part is style. Okay, and here in this place you can see the white colored lobe structure, no? Here you can see ovary. And if you are just slicing over to that, inside you will be having one to many ovules. So here pistil is a combination of three structure: stigma, style, and ovary. Okay, so here the swollen part is ovary, style is a tube-like structure, and stigma is a lobe-like structure. Stigma is a lobe-like structure. Here also in this diagram you can clearly see. It's a beautiful picture. See here, 4 whorls are there. First one is here, it's said to be as sepals. This green colored whorl is said to be as sepal. Okay, and these things are petals. Petals, it will be colorful. And the third one is male sex organ, that is the stamen. Stamen is a combination of anther and the filament. Anther and the filament, red color part. And about female sex organ, it has 3 things: stigma, over to that, below the filamentous structure is said to be a style, stigma, style, ovary, which has within themselves ovules. So 4 parts are there. Okay. So here, if you are dissecting and you are seeing, you can see one to many ovules. You can see one to many ovules present there. Then within the ovules, you might see an egg cell, which is nothing but the female gamete. Egg cell within the ovule, egg cell is viewed. It's nothing but a female gamete. Okay. So about male gamete also, you can see anther and filament. And within this, pollen grains are observed. Pollen grains are observed. And one more thing, students, there are 2 types of flowers: bisexual and unisexual. Bisexual and unisexual. Bisexual in sense, if it has both sex organ, male sex organ and the female one, if it has, it is said to be as complete flower or bisexual flower. Complete or bisexual flower. If it has either of the things, either male or female sex organ, it's observed in papaya, mulberry and all. Okay, so if it seems to have only one sex organ, that is called to be as either unisexual or incomplete flower. Unisexual or incomplete flower. Is that clear to all? Are you all following? Okay. Now again, so this is about the structure of the flower. Now what is going on here after to that? Fertilization. Fertilization. What is going on? Male gamete and the female gamete are fused together to form zygote. Male gamete and female gamete are fused together by a method said to be as fertilization. Fertilization, and you are getting a zygote. Zygote is basically a single cell structure, unicell structure. Okay, so this zygote is then slowly developing into an embryo, multicell, and then this embryo within the seed coat, with the inside the seed, you can see this embryo. Then that is gaining a potential to develop into a new plant. That's gaining a potential to develop into a new plant. So this is what about the reproductive structure of flower. Clear to all? Can you all understand? Can you differentiate between all the 4 parts? So now, even if I am tying your eyes and asking about the 4 parts, you should know. Is it not? Hope so. Okay. Yes students, now we are going to learn about pollination. Okay, so we already learned about fertilization. When male and female gamete fuse together, it gives you zygote. That's what about fertilization. Now same thing, when the anthers mature, they burst and release the pollen which get transferred to the stigma for fertilization. This process is called pollination. See, nothing but the pollens are getting released from the anthers. Yellow colored structure, the pollens are getting released from the anthers, and then it is transferred to the stigma. Style stigma, do you remember? Stigma, the top lobe structure. It is transferred to the stigma, and then it is passed inside here. Inside that ovule, you are having ovules, egg is there. So when it fuses together, fertilization starts. So this process is called pollination. So basically this pollination is of two types, self and cross pollination. Self pollination and cross pollination. What is the difference here? You are going to see. Pollen from the anther get transferred to the stigma of the same flower. When the pollens are released from the anther, and if the pollens are transferred to the stigma of the same flower I said in bisexual, both anthers and pistil will be present together in the same flower. Is it not bisexual flowers? So if it is transferred within the same flower, then it is said to be as self-pollination. Now the second thing is about cross-pollination. Cross-pollination in sense, the same transfer is has been done here. It is pollen from the anther get transferred to the stigma of the either another flower of the same plant or else another plant of the same kind. Can you understand? Pollen from the anther, it's transferred to the stigma, not in the same flower. Another flower in the same plant. Might be another flower in the same plant, or else another plant of same kind. Like that, similar type of plant. If it is getting transferred, that is also meant to be as here as cross pollination. Is that clear to you all? Can you all follow? Okay. Now this pollination is going on with some agents. How it is happening practically? That is done by either insects or wind or water. These insects, wind, water, birds, everything serve to be here as agents for pollination. So how it is practically done here? If you are seeing about insects in the flower, we can see it is colorful and it has nectar within them. So these insects get attracted because of its color or because of its odor. Okay, so because of that these insects are getting attracted, and it just want to feed the nectar. So what it is doing, it get attracted towards the color or odor of the flower. Then when it goes and sits, when this insect goes and sits in the particular flower, the pollen grains are released from the anther. Inside the anther, pollen grains will be there. When this insect is going and sitting in the flower, the pollen grains are released from the anther. They are released, and then automatically this pollination takes place. Okay, this is about insects. And now about wind. Wind, what happens? It's blown. Pollen, it's not attracted by color or odor and all. It's just blown by wind. Pollen grains are blown away easily as they are very light. These pollen grains are very light. For example, in maize, it's light, it's moving, it's moved to some other place, and then because of that also pollination takes place. The third thing is about water. In water also the same pollination can happen. How in sense? Release pollen grains. It is just releasing out the pollen grains into the water, which is carried to the female flower, through water currents. Okay, so the same transfer is going on here through water currents. Example, Vallisneria. In Vallisneria, the same transfer is going on. Can you all understand? Is it clear to all? Okay. Yes students, now we are going to learn about life cycle of flowering plant. Life cycle of flowering plant. Everything is already taught to you separately. Now all together we are going to see the life cycle. Okay, see the diagram first. You can see here flower. As I explained to you, it already has stamen, male reproductive organ, female reproductive organ, pistil, stamen with anther and filament, pistil with style, stigma and ovary, style, stigma and ovary, and then so this all together is there in a flower. And if you are taking anther structure alone, it's a bilobe structure, yellow color, which has pollen grains inside, After certain growth, it's getting ruptured and the anthers are released out. So what is happening? This anthers is passed through stigma of the flower. It's passing. It's just going and fusing with the egg. This is ovary. This anther is moved inside. You can see the dot structure. Can you all observe? So it's going and fusing with the egg. Then automatically zygote will develop. Zygote, next stage is about seed with embryo, and you'll be getting a new plantlet. This is flower. And now germination starts. Young plantlet to a mature plant, it will grow. That is about germination. Young plantlet, a mature plant. So mature plant produces again a flower, which again have the potential to reproduce an entire life cycle, entire plant. Can you all understand? Same thing. One important thing is there, that is when the pollen grains get transferred to the stigma. When this pollen grain is getting transferred to the stigma of either the same flower or else with the same kind of flower with another plant, what is happening? A thin tube is sent out into the pistil. Tube-like structure, the same pollen grains is sent inside the pistil. Pistil in sense a female reproductive organ. From the pollen grains, that is called pollen tube. From the pollen grains, it is just transferred, and that is called pollen tube. And this step is said to be separately as pollen germination. They are transferring the pollen grains through stigma inside the pistil. No, that step is altogether separately mentioned to be as pollen germination. Can you all understand? Is that clear to all? Okay. Now we are going to learn a new topic, germination of seed. Germination of seed. As you all know, seed has embryo within themselves. Seed has embryo, and this seed is covered by a tough coat said to be a seed coat. Seed coat, within that you can observe the seed, and it has embryo within themselves. They have mainly two parts. Said to be as radicle and plumule. Radicle is responsible for the growth of root, and plumule in the seed is responsible for the development of shoot. So radicle for root and plumule for shoot. These two things will be there within the seed, and these seeds are getting dispersed by some agents like wind, water and animals and all. Okay, it is getting dispersed through wind, through water and animals as it eats and give out the excretes in the dropping forms. Again the entire life cycle will be starting. Okay, so that is about seed dispersal. Now how this is germinated, you can see this picture first. This is young rootlet. This is a seed where a young rootlet start to grow. The one which is growing downwards is said to be as rootlet, and again a shoot also, young shootlet is growing upwards. You can see a young shootlet here and young rootlet which is growing downwards. Okay, then slowly from the seed you can see the young leaf, and then later after some days it is turning into a matured leaf, seems to be as a matured plant. So this is about germination. Now we are going to see process of germination is nothing but the process of growth of plant from its seed. this process from the seed to the entire plantlet, how it is growing. From the seed to the plantlet, how it is growing. That is what about germination. A process of growth of plant from its seed to mature plant. Okay. So how it is growing? How it is growing? Only if it is provided with proper moisture, air, warmth and temperature in the soil. All those things are provided only. They can give you a new plant. They are gaining the potential to give you a new plant. Proper amount of moisture, air, temperature on soil should be there. When these conditions are in optimum, when optimum conditions, all these things are provided, then the seeds germinate. Only they got that enough thing of all the air, temperature and soil. Only then it is growing into a new plantlet. Okay. So, the seeds germinate into your baby plant using the food stored in them. They are just storing the foods within them and they are germinating into a new baby plant. Intake of water by seeds, which in turns activate the enzyme of water. So, what is happening? The seeds on the very first, it's just intaking the water. The seeds are absorbing the water, and then because of the water presence, the enzymes within the seeds are getting activated. The enzymes within the seeds is getting activated. Okay, so because of that, there is an increase in the rate of biochemical reaction. Because of that, there is an increase in rate of biochemical reaction. Then this stored food is turned into a soluble form. Because of that enough water only, the stored food is turned to a soluble form. Okay. So as I already mentioned, this seed has mainly two parts, radicle and plumule. Radicle, which is responsible for development of root, and plumule, which is responsible for development of shoot. Can you all understand? Is that clear to all? Okay. Yes students, now we'll have a quick glance of recap for the reproduction in plants chapter. Okay. So first is, reproduction is important to maintain the continuity of life. It's important to maintain the continuity of life. In plants, asexual reproduction takes place by budding, fragmentation, spore formation and vegetative propagation. Using these four methods, we are getting, through asexual reproduction, we are getting the new plantlets. And then as a vegetative parts, we are using root, stem, leaves to propagate again a new plant. For vegetative part, we are using root, stem and leaves. Then cutting, grafting and layering. What are all these things? These are methods of artificial propagation. We already come across different methods of artificial propagation, said to be as cutting, grafting and layering. Then flowering plant. Flowering plant reproduce with the help of flowers. Flower is a reproductive organ and this flower has both stamen and pistil. Stamen is a collection of anther and filament. Pistil is stigma, style and ovary. Hope you all remember. Next thing, transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of flower is called pollination. Transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is said to be as pollination. Then fusion of male and female gamete to produce zygote. Zygote is unicellular and that is meant to be as fertilization. Then seeds are dispersed to prevent the plant from overcrowding. Seeds are dispersed to prevent the plant from overcrowding, and we are using agents such as air, water, animals and self-explosion. Self-explosion, automatically it is ruptured or released out. Okay, that's what air, water, animals and self-explosion are served to be as agents for seed dispersal. That's all about the unit, students.